Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share with your friends, colleagues, associates, family members, close and distant, enemies and anyone in between. Now, this isn't a proper episode and I'm not usually the breaking news guy, and technically I guess it's not even breaking news anymore because it happened yesterday. But I was out, had things to do, just wasn't about to give any takes. However, this is definitely worth a take from me. So with no production, let me give my thoughts on the announcement that Canelo Alvarez will be fighting a Charlo, but it's not Jermall, it's actually JerMELL. So JerMELL is coming up from light middle all the way to super middle, so 2 weight divisions, to take on Canelo Alvarez, undisputed champion versus undisputed champion. His first fight back in about a year and 3 months. No, by the time the fight comes around, it'll actually be about 16 months because he last fought in, I think it was May of last year. Yeah, so about 15-16 months out the ring. What's my thoughts? Okay, well, look, JerMell's the better brother out of the two of them, but he's been campaigning at 154 for the longest amount of time. So Jermall is probably more maturated to a 168 bout. JerMELL and Jermall are both naturally bigger guys than Canelo Alvarez, not just sort of height and sort of reach and everything, but just body frame. But they've been able to, I guess, suck themselves down to the 160 and 154 divisions and maintain and stay there. But remember, JerMell's never fought above 154 as a pro, I don't believe, unless maybe in his first couple fights, but he's always been a 154 guy. So how's he gonna react to getting hit with shots from a fully maturated 168 guy right now, even though Canelo is a very small 168 in terms of height and frame? Like, his body wise, he carries that weight quite well. Now, technically, I'm actually going to say it's the better fight because JerMELL is the least inactive of the two. They will both be very inactive, but JerMELL is the least inactive. But he's also coming off of a hand injury, whereas Jermall was coming off the back injury plus possible mental health situations and obviously family stuff as well. I think he's going through a divorce, trying to get custody of his kids as well. So I can kind of understand why he's not taking the fight. And to be honest, when I first heard it, I thought that's not really a great fight initially because it can't be competitive. He's been out of the ring for over 2 years, coming off of an injury, a layoff of that size, plus the mental health stuff. It just doesn't really make a huge amount of sense. And literally, that's all that is a knockover. It's a knockover job for Canelo and an announcement that, yeah, I'm on PBC. And while I think anyone can kind of deserve their little showcase fight, it's still got to be against someone credible, or at least that you believe has some kind of chance. Now, JerMell's, I've seen some people already say that they think JerMell's got a shot here. I mean, in terms of activity, he's got a little bit more of a shot than his brother does, but again, as I said, he's the naturally smaller of the two in terms of a professional. He knows what it's like to lose. He also knows what it's like to come back from a loss, so there will be some kind of competitiveness there. But he's jumping up 2 weight divisions. Now, in recent memory, every time someone jumps up 2 weight divisions, it doesn't really go that well. I mean, the first example I can think of is, Amir Khan jumping up 2 weight divisions against Canelo, brutally knocked out. Kell Brook jumping up 2 weight divisions against Triple G, broken eye socket, stopped in the 5th round. Mikey Garcia jumping up 2 weight divisions against Errol Spence. Well, he just lost. in no danger of really getting hurt in that fight, but I'm not taking shots, I promise. But yeah, jumping up 2 weight divisions doesn't seem to work well in the men's division. Although that being said, there are caveats. I mean, look, Bam Rodriguez did it last year, jumped up from light fly to super fly and beat 2 of the 4 kings of that division at that particular time. Or, well, I guess maybe 2 of the 5 kings. I can't forget Ioka. So yeah, look, there are outliers. It can be done, but generally speaking, when you jump up to on your very next fight, it doesn't usually end well for you. I'm not gonna say he's got no chance. I need to see kind of how this thing plays out. Obviously, basis picks will happen nearer the time, but yeah, ultimately it's like it's a slightly better one, but it's still not necessarily the fight people want to see. Now, that being said, what I do want to allude to, look, it's undisputed versus undisputed. So that means both guys have credible resumes, right, at this point. I've seen a lot of people obviously criticizing Canelo for this. And, you know, I've actually got no issue if you want to criticize them. If you want to criticize him based on, you know, well, this guy's never fought at 168 before. He's not even fought at 160. Like, this is a clear cash grab or whatever. I haven't really got an argument for that because you're probably right. It is. But two caveats. First caveat, look, Canelo Alvarez, resume, activity, everything. He, of all people, if you're going to say someone deserves to pick and choose who they fight, Mayweather was allowed to pick and choose who he fought because he earned it after a certain point. Manny Pacquiao to an extent, similar thing. Oscar De La Hoya to a similar extent. Like, you got to pick and choose when you kind of got to the top or got to where you needed to be. No one said anything. Well, okay, some people, but not a lot of people said anything when Errol Spence, you know, drug Mikey Garcia up from 135 to 147. Oh, that was a great fight, and he gets all the credit apparently for that win and all the plaudits for that one. So if that's the case and he gets the credit for that, then there's no reason why Canelo can't get the credit for actually beating another undisputed champion. Because it's not like, oh, you know, he's just like a title holder. No, he reigns at 154. So if you're gonna give Errol Spence credit for Mikey Garcia, you can't not give Canelo credit for JerMELL Charlo, especially when JerMELL Charlo was the one that called him out after the John Ryder fight. He's like, okay, you call me out, I'll take that fight. And look, realistically, you got a lot of people talking about the Benavidez fight. I could get into that. I might save that for a little separate topic. I might even make that a little members only video because I got some takes which, you know, if you're a member, you can see it. Otherwise, maybe you just have to imagine. But we know in America, there's 2 dynamics that work well when it comes to fights. It's Mexicans against Puerto Ricans, and it's African Americans against Mexicans. That's the demographic. That's what sells. So unfortunately, Benavidez doesn't fall into either of those categories at this point in time. So while you've got this moment to, I guess, galvanize 2 sets of people, and, you know, you've got one set of people backing this guy because of, you know, xenotypes and vice versa on the other side, as a coming out party on that platform, it makes sense. The Benavidez fight, if he really wants it, it's gonna happen. Now, do I think he really wants it? Not particularly, but I think he will get it, and he'll definitely take it because the payday will be worth it. But again, that's a whole nother story. Just talking about this one at the moment, yeah, it's a slightly better opponent and matchup than Jermall, just based on activity and accomplishments, but it's definitely a cash grab, and I'll definitely buy it. I think I'm gonna have to. It'll probably be on Fight TV over here in the UK. If a broadcaster gets it, happy days. If they stream it on YouTube, Actually, no, PBC definitely wouldn't do it for this card. So yeah, it's probably going to end up being on Fight TV, or if we're lucky, maybe the Zone might be able to purchase the international rights, or Sky might pick this one up. Although because they've got the Top Rank deal, I don't know if that allows them to pick up other broadcasters from the US as well. I'm not sure. If maybe BT or TNT Sports can get it, that would be a cool move. But we'll wait and see. I mean, look, the Zone have got the little relationship-ish with, Showtime now because of the Tank and Garcia fight. So maybe that's an avenue. And hopefully that is where it ends up, because if so, I get to see it because I've already paid for my DAZN subscription for the year, so I won't complain. Even if I've got to pay for it again, like if they want to add a pay-per-view on top, I'll pay it. I'm going to pay for it on Fight TV anyway. So, but yeah, look, that's my thoughts on that. I guess on the flip side of that, I probably could have made this a little bit of an episode, because you got Tim Tszyu that came out just afterwards and basically said that Canelo ducking Benavidez and JerMELL's ducking me. Well, Canelo, I don't think is ducking Benavidez personally. Again, I've given some thoughts on that, but it's a fair assessment based on what a lot of people seem to want to say at the moment. JerMELL, technically, you could. It's hard because a lot of people say a duck is when you skip out on a hard fight for an easier one. But this is most definitely a harder fight for JerMELL. However, could it still be classified as a duck because technically he's going into a harder fight, but he's going into a no-lose situation as well. Because if he beats Canelo, undisputed super middleweight, greatness awaits. And if he gets beat, knocked out, well, he dared to be great. Jumped up 2 weight classes, against one of the pound for pound kings of this time. Top 4 in almost every list. So then you say to yourself, well, if you're ducking your quote unquote mandatory for a fight that you can't lose in that situation, maybe it is still a duck. Yes, it's a harder task, but it's almost like when, you had Amir Khan go up to fight Canelo instead of fighting Kell Brook. Yeah, Canelo's the harder job, but ultimately it was it's a no-lose situation. Amir Khan was never expected to win that fight. So it almost feels like it's an easier assignment because there's no pressure on you. So I don't know, maybe it is a duck. All that does mean is straight after that fight happens, the WBO title is likely gonna be stripped off him, or he's gonna have to vacate it, and the IBF I think as well, because that mandatory's been waiting since I think 2019. Now, funny enough, the IBF mandatory is also the number 2 guy in the WBO on the rankings. So I think it's Bakram Murtazaliev. So if that's the case, maybe you can get Tim Tszyu versus Bakram Murtazaliev for a unit, for even though both be vacant titles, but it'd be an IBF and WBO unified championship. And then obviously whatever happens with the other 2, I guess if Tim Tszyu wants it, he'll have to go belt collecting and go that road through 154. But yeah, I mean, look, I think technically you can say it's a bit of a duck. But I mean, look, at the end of the day, the Canelo sweepstakes, you don't turn that down. Especially when you basically get a free shot and no tarnishment on your name, like win, lose or draw. So yeah, it's a duck. It is a duck, but this is a duck I'm not even going to say that I'm upset about, or that I'm disappointed by it. It made logical sense. But yeah, I hope Tim Tszyu gets what he's due in October now, or November, whenever he fights next. But he's had some good activity, and now I do expect him to become the new WBO world champ. And again, hopefully he can be a unified WBO and IBF or at least fight for both of those titles in his very next fight. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. Again, like I said, it's not a proper episode, but a little bit of a slight instant reaction. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, memberships are on the channel, so subscribe, and yeah, grab a membership if you want the other content. If not, no worries. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Basis picks will be up later on today. Should have been yesterday, but again, things happened. But yeah, those will definitely come out before the events take place. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on that one. Peace.